Hello, thank you for joining us for today's coffee break for upgrading the SCOM 2019 with our co-host Leon Laude.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, could you and so correct? Can you pronounce your last name correctly for everyone? Because I screwed that up again.
It's all right. It's a lot.
Thank you. All right, Leon's been great for me. I have been getting to know him for this presentation, and he's going to walk us through what he did to upgrade for 2019. It's an interesting conversation. There's been a lot of already pre-chatter on the Slack channel. So if you haven't had an opportunity yet, please join our Slack channel discussion. There's a bit.ly link there on screen. That channel will be open and available after the presentation too, and actually until the next coffee break or beyond. So feel free to ask questions and we'll get to it as we can. Let's get started. All right, so SCOM upgrade paths. We have a whole lot of decisions here. So these were some of the questions that we had when we looked at what SCOM was. So Leon, what is this mess?
All right. It was, first of all, difficult to get this in a clear picture. So I wanted to make it as clear as possible. So this basically, the image you see now is the upgrade paths basically to SCOM 2019. So if you're running 2012 R2, there are two different ways to go to SCOM 2019. And if you're running 2016, there's also two ways to go, and so on. So there's like each have two ways to perform an upgrade, basically.
So when let's talk about 29. Let's talk about 2012 R2 for a moment. There was a couple questions in the forums about going to the next version. So I know in my experience, I went from 2012 R2 to 2016. Then I went to the 1807, 1801, and then from there. But if you had a 2012 R2 right now, what would you think is the best way to go for that? Would you try to do an upgrade in place to 2016 and then stay and do an upgrade in place again for 2019? Or would you want to do a side-by-side or a side-by-side migration?
Personally, I prefer side-by-side migrations because, well, there are many reasons. One is you get new fresh installation, first of all. So the second one is you get a new Windows Server version. And the third is a new SQL version. And if you're using physical hardware, then you might upgrade that as well at the same time. If you're doing in-place upgrade, you are a bit limited. Of course, you can perform an in-place upgrade of the Windows Server operating system or the SQL version. But the more in-place upgrades you do, the more risks you're going to have. And I do have some bad experiences with in-place upgrades. So therefore, that's the reason I prefer not to take it. But there are reasons also why you want to do it. For example, if you want to save historical data, if this is a requirement from the company, then you will have to do an in-place upgrade. Then there are also many other facts that can come into place.
Okay. I was just curious because that was one of the topics that showed up in the Slack channel. I know for myself, I did not have success upgrading from 2012 R2 to 2016. However, going from 2016 to 1801, 1807, or even I did do a test from 2016 to 2019. Those all worked. It was just my 2012 R2 that I personally had very little success with. But keeping the data was the big thing we were worried about. We ended up just not worrying about that at the end of the day because
Okay.
it was just too much hassle. But I was just curious what your experiences were. So cool. All right, so let's jump into this. So we're going to do a high-level in-place upgrade. So that was the basis of your blog, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, because that was where I guess that was probably the easiest way to document this, just because of all the different varying steps. Or
Yeah.
okay,
So I like doing guides that are very detailed and it's step by step. It also makes it easier for others out there, maybe not that are that in depth of IT knowledge. So I'll try to make it as clear as possible. So I chose to go from an 1807 conversion to 2019 because that was the latest available at that time.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's dive right in. And
Mhm.
our very first thing is check your event logs. This one's a favorite of mine. Um, so we have, why would you want to do this? Can you tell me what your experiences are for this?
Well, there are many reasons. Obviously, you should always check your operations manager event log. This should be like maybe not daily, but quite often at least for any errors or warnings, because there could be something not right in your environment. And when specifically when you're doing an upgrade, you want to make sure that you have everything, clean and all good.
This was this is something that I think every ops manager admin should always do. There's a lot of events that end up in the event log that don't end up in your SCOM console. So you could have a long running problem and have no idea. So
Exactly.
checking the event logs to me is just like that should just be part of your daily job. But
Yeah,
excellent.
it's like one of your best friends in SCOM
Yes.
if you have any kind of issues.
Yep. All right. So once we have the event log cleaned up, we're going to jump into more specific advice to the upgrade, which is actually cleaning up the database ETL table. When I was researching how to put the slide together, Microsoft just says to do this. I think there's a long running bug that they've just not fixed. And yeah, here you are. But I think you made the point in your blog post that because it runs a while, you run it beforehand and then run it again, I think is how you phrased it.
Yeah, so that's how I did. Technically, you can just run it once, but I prefer to just do it like a day before or 2 days before. Doesn't really matter. This one is going to take a lot of time, and then I want to make one that's going to be way quicker just before the upgrade.
Okay. So then once we clean up the ETL table, that should take care of any extraneous data that might trip us up during the upgrade. We transition to gateways. Gateway failover, another piece of SCOM admin life that I guess a lot of us don't worry about. But how I only had one gateway in my old shop. How have you dealt with gateways in your shop? Has this been a big thing, or is this just something that to be aware of if you have gateways?
Well, this is something definitely to be aware of if you're using multiple gateway servers. Actually, most of my customers do only use one gateway for various reasons. So it hasn't been an issue at all when doing the upgrades. And well, when I did my guide, I did not have actually any gateway, so it was very easy.
My gateways were very single use kind of thing, so we didn't really worry about it. And in the case of
Mhm.
my upgrade, I didn't worry about it because I didn't have anywhere else to go. But yeah, the gateways are just knowing that they can fail over is a really good thing.
Yeah.
So next up, we have pending management. Do you? This one's odd for me. Um, I never worried about this, uh, but then I had a very strict pending management policy. So I only ever approved agents once the Windows team or Linux team were ready for them to be monitored. Um, what can you tell us about this particular important step?
Well, I haven't personally had any bad experience with this. I think this is also maybe like it says is like in the old history that we could have orphan or hidden objects due to having pending objects while doing an upgrade. So I think there is some history there. It might not be an issue anymore, but
You know,
either way, in when I do an upgrade, it feels better just in my head to have everything clean, no pending up installs. So it's just like clean.
just good practice,
Yeah,
in other words. Yeah, clean up things before, then you don't have to worry about it. Okay.
exactly.
All right. And this is another one. Disabling notification subscriptions. Again, I just warned everyone that I was upgrading and never turned them off.
All right.
Uh, so yeah,
That
so
yeah, that works. Well,
they got the noise,
basically,
but it is what it is.
yeah, no, but that's totally valid, totally understandable. If you're a huge company that's getting lots of alerts everywhere, of course you are. If you have many management servers, you are turning off the services
True.
all but
True.
one management server. But still, this one can alert. So therefore, I would advise to disable notifications, because there's an upgrade, there's going to be probably alerts for various reasons. So I would just disable them. It's simple.
Just do it safe side then. Another clean everything up, shut it down, make sure it's good. That way the SCOM doesn't get the bad reputation, in other words, of just sending out erroneous
Exactly.
alerts. Okay. Okay. And next up is connectors. Connectors are kind of like the black magic of SCOM. My experience has been I had the VMM connector and the service manager connectors. I didn't know how really to disable those properly, so I left them alone. What has your experience been with this one?
Honestly, I haven't had any issues. I think this is also like a precaution, just to be safe. I have had a few connectors from third-party products like HP. This was no issue whatsoever to leave it enabled. Same with other System Center products. It was no issue really.
Okay, good.
But it's also, I think, many of these steps, I mean, they are from Microsoft. So yeah, they want just to be 100% safe.
So again, I guess it's going to be beating the drum again. Keep everything clean. Disable your notifications. Stop the alerts. Get rid of any connectors. The cleanest, I guess the guiding principle here is the cleaner the better, is
Exactly.
what I'm hearing. Okay. And I guess to that end, we have the SCOM services. So this would be, you would want to stop the SCOM services on all of the management servers that you're not upgrading. So
Exactly.
pick one, stop those, do this. And that's to stop the other management servers from being chatty while you're upgrading?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I ever did this, but again, my management landscape was very focused. But this I could see this stopping an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to transition to the database, checking to make sure you're free space. So the documentation said it was important, but why?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done in my lab, I've done on purposely so that the database would have like, I think it had less than 20% free disk space. So yeah, the whole upgrade failed. So and lots of different kind of errors, and pretty obvious there was not enough disk space. So here again, 50%. Yeah, it's quite a lot. But in general, you should have your operational database around 40 to 50% free space at all times. So this is a good buffer to keep in mind.
I never had a problem during the upgrade with space, but I ran mine at 60%. And that was because there were sometimes I had long running operations that would just chew up space and then shrink.
Mm-hmm.
So I never watched it during an upgrade, but you do a lot more of these than I have ever done. I did one and that was it. So yeah. Okay, good to know. And then next up, speaking of databases, we're going to back them up.
Yeah, well, pretty obvious. You do any change in a critical environment, you want to have backups, because in case you can't really know what's going to happen if it fails at some point. Usually it should perform like a rollback, but if you're doing, let's say you're also doing, you have done in-place upgrades of the SQL server, the operating system, you might just want to restore. Because you don't really, you can't really trust that everything's like rollback and everything's working normally. So yeah, back up your databases always before doing any sort of major change.
Okay. And something that we didn't call out here on the slide, but for those of you that know about the reporting services, SCOM rebuilds that each time. So I never worried about backing that up. Is that your experience has been the same, Leon?
Yeah, exactly the same.
Yep. So just the two and then good for there. All right. So then this one, now we're going to transition from the database to the individual agents. So these are the cache sizes for the agents that are talking to your management group. I did not do this because I kept my upgrade very tightly confined, and I think I just didn't have enough data that was causing a problem here. But have you had a different experience with this? Has this been beneficial to you?
I have not had an issue with these, but I can imagine very large environments or that have a lot of workloads running on the agents, then it might be an issue because the main reason is when the management servers are down, of course, the agent cannot communicate with them. So they will start writing locally. And therefore, the more workloads you have, the more they will write. And that's the reason why we raise the cache size temporarily. This can be a pain also if you have, let's say, tens of thousands of agents. But this is a registry fix, so you can easily automate it with any automation tool.
Mm-hmm. I saw this as being key for those shops that had few management servers but lots of agents. If they weren't reporting in frequently enough, then or your management servers weren't keeping up, that's when I saw this more being critical to the success of your upgrade. But good to know. All right, so we have the agents now caching more. We have our servers backed up. We have next up would be the IAS polls to kind of stop what's going there, so that what actually why would we stop the IAS polls? This one's confusing to me.
Yeah, it's confusing to me as well. I always want to do things clean. So actually, I don't think it matters if this one is on or not. It's funny though, because Microsoft themselves, they have documented it that you should do it,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no instructions or whatsoever. It's just a point on a high level.
Yep. When I was researching how long ago this was in the documentation from a long time ago,
Yeah,
and I assumed it was just to get people out so that they were not in Ops Manager doing anything. So,
exactly.
because I know that when I did my upgrade, I just kind of changed the DNS reference. I actually didn't stop the app pulls, but I guess this is a surefire way to make sure that nothing's writing. But yeah, it's in the documentation to do, so we do it. All right, so this feels like we're about ready to start the upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have to be honest with you. Looking at all of your steps, the post-upgrade steps were the most onerous.
Yeah.
Lots to do. But then you get to the actual upgrade, and it's like, okay, I'm going to just run the wizard as administrator, follow the wizard, make sure I configured my service accounts, and then watch for any error messages.
Exactly. It's like any next, and that's it.
This is why we're all Windows, Microsoft admins. So cool. All right. So if that worked, then at that point it's post upgrade, which is reverse what you did. The only thing that we called out on post was re-enable any audit collection services. So I haven't seen a lot of people to use ACS in a long time, but if you were doing that, you would probably want to stop that also. But we definitely call it out that during the upgrade it will stop, so you have to restart those.
Yeah.
Anything else? Just reverse it, kind of like a Willy Wonka skit.
Yeah.
Back up, reverse. So verifying your management group. This one was kind of key for me. We have some dashboards that are internal, so that's good. Check to make sure that they actually show green. And then check your event log again. Look for any new alerts. That's pretty much it. I couldn't think of anything that's after the upgrade wasn't called out during the logs for the wizard. Have you come across anything that was?
Well, there are. I'm spending a lot of time on the TechNet forum, so there is a lot of questions regarding upgrades, and there are a few errors here and there that comes in, and usually it's due to if you're doing side-by-side migration, then you have to think all over, like firewall, permissions, and so on.
So more of your infrastructure then.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
this is one thing to keep in mind, and maybe one of the cons if you're doing side-by-side migration. The good thing with the in-place upgrade is basically you have everything there, less configuration needed. You can immediately start the upgrade without thinking, well, doing all the steps and without thinking about any other like dependencies or firewall configurations and so on.
Okay. And then your next step was validate your license. This
Mhm.
one I've heard catch a lot of admins off guard because they thought the license would just upgrade. But
Yeah.
2019 had a new license.
Yeah, this is easily to forgettable. So I haven't run into this, but I've heard some on the forums that has. So there is quite a clear event when this happens.
Hmm.
So yeah, make sure to license your new SCOM environment. And with SCOM 2019, you can do this in the console.
Yes, we didn't call it out here, but you and I remember us talking about this. If you go to help and about, you can enter the license that way now.
Exactly. But do
Yeah.
remember that you got to restart your data access service as it says in PowerShell. And therefore, the reason why I put the PowerShell here, because it says that you have to restart the service.
Yes, because then if you do it through help about, it just says okay, and then you really don't see anything else.
Yeah.
Okay, so we also want to make a call out to Kevin Holman here. There are some other known issues with upgrading. These are some of the quick, interesting ones that we found, but there are probably more. I know the big one that burned me, just in general, is the TLS 1.0 to 1.2.
Yeah.
There are new everything for that, so just keep that in mind. There is a blog post from Kevin Holman that does talk about TLS and what to do with that. SSRS was another one. I never ran into the scoped user profile issue, so I can't speak to that one, but the other three I have seen in other shops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the scoped user profile is something I've seen a few times now on the forums. So it does seem to come up quite often. Has been fixed for SCOM 2016. Is bound to be fixed in update rollup 1 for SCOM 2019.
Okay. That's right. That is update rollup 1 is coming soon.
Yeah,
So hopefully if they keep
anytime
to
now.
yeah, any day. Any day. Good. Maybe that'll be the next coffee break.
Yeah.
So all right. So that pretty much is the end of upgrading. Is there before we get to the Q&A, is there anything else you want to talk about for this topic?
There is actually one thing. When upgrading the reporting server, uh, there is a lot of cases where it will fail on the prerequisites check. This is a known issue also, but there's a workaround. I think this might be documented somewhere. If not, Kevin Holman probably has it. You have to install previous SCOM operations console on the server where the reporting server
Thank you, Lee.
is.
I remember this now. Yes. Thank you for refreshing my memory. There was a call out about the old version of the reporting. Um, I believe Kevin Holman does have a post on that. We'll find that and we'll dig it out and put it in the Slack channel.
Yeah.
Good call. Good call. All right. Thank you, Leon. So, Leon, I want to just call out your Twitter post, your Twitter feed, and your blog post, as I slurred them both together. Thank you for being our guest host. And we're now going to go to Q&A, and we'll check over, see if there's any questions, and we'll come back and answer them in just a sec. All right. We have two questions from the forums. The first one is, are there no SQL updates? So have you had any experience with the SQL updates? Because you go first and then I'll tell you mine.
Yeah, I had one in-place upgrade of SQL, which is fairly fairly straightforward. Other than that, I have not had any other experience with that. I have been planning on blogging about this maybe in the future.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, SQL. I'm assuming by the question, the SQL updates are the SQL patches. Microsoft does have a blog post that says what's supported for each version. You have to maintain your version based on that sliding window. So I'm not sure if the supported versions for SQL for 2012 are also the same versions that are supported for 2016, but I think that you can upgrade SQL to 2016 and then apply the first couple of patches, but not all of them. And then once you get to 2016, then you can apply the rest of the patches. And then, oh boy, all the versions. You can start with SQL Server 2016, start with some of the update rollups, and then go from there. So there's some issues there. I generally didn't worry about the SQL Server patches until I was done. And then I checked to see what SCOM supported and then told my DBAs where they were allowed to go to. But okay, so that one's an interesting question. So we'll have to see if we can get some more framework around that one. The next question was, do you still have to install, reading ahead here, is Windows in-place upgrade supported? Our management servers are still 2012 R2. I'd like to get up to server 2016, 2019 with SCOM 2019. That is interesting. I'm going to take this one first. In my experience, I did not have good success upgrading Windows 2012 R2 to 2016. It supposedly is supported, but in my shop, when 2016 was released, we couldn't get it to work. So what we ended up doing was bringing in 2016 management servers and phasing out the 2012 until we got all of that done. And then we did a 2012 R2 to 2016, but we still had to do a side by side. So pretty much all that work was wasted. I don't know that I would try it.
Yeah, I kind of agree between 2012 R2 and any of the above is somehow problematic. From 2016, I must say Microsoft really has done a lot of improvements. I have not had a single failure of in-place upgrading from 2016 to 2019. So before 2016, yeah, it was a bit, there are some issues, but it is, as Microsoft says, it is supported. So 2012 R2 can be in-place upgrade to 2019 if you want so, but there might be a lot of risk in that. So bear that in mind.
Thinking back, I remember Microsoft telling me to uninstall Operations Manager from the server before upgrading, which defeated the purpose of having the in-place upgrade. But that could have been just a one-off. That's been a while, to be honest with you. All right, so boy, the questions are coming in now. So, do you have to still install I'm assuming MS for management server with silent installer if the SQL DBs are hosted on a separate cluster? I don't know. I don't believe so. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest with you. Have you ever had to deal with that?
No, I have not had to do that actually.
Yeah, I didn't. We had a SQL cluster, but I never had to use the silent installer for anything special, to be honest with you. So I'd be curious if there was some follow-up information to that. So if you're still listening, go ahead and put your comment back in. How long should it take to upgrade the database? I'm assuming it's probably just both databases during the upgrade. I know in my case, it ran for about 40 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, that's quite a reasonable, a good expectation, honestly. Okay. I would say between half an hour and 1 hour. It totally depends on size of the environment, but that's a good estimation.
Yeah, I think my Operations Manager database was about 50 gig, and my data warehouse was just shy of a terabyte. And it went pretty fast, at least I thought, for that time period. Any steps that we have to do for SquaredUp after the upgrade? Well, if you're upgrading in place, no. Your management group name hasn't changed, and it should still work. So you're good to go. It's if you do a side-by-side, then you're going to want to contact support, and then we'll help you with the licenses to do your migration so we can get you onto the new management group side-by-side, go from there. But yeah, nothing special. What about dashboards in SCOM 2019? With no Silverlight and the web console, are there any new widgets available to use that the web console can display? I'm not as familiar with the web console, but I will tell you that there is a new PowerShell widget that you can create dashboards, which is kind of neat if you're doing more of that. So that is something to look at. I can tell you that SquaredUp has done a comparison with that. So that's definitely in the YouTube forum. We can probably put that in the Slack channel. But yeah, if you have another question specific to that, we can see about getting an answer. Leon, have you used the web console? Is that something that you do?
Yeah, a little bit. Not too much, honestly, but getting there more and more.
Yeah, I had it set up. We kind of used it, but only for what was it? Looking at the tree, the diagram view. That was probably that was great for upper management because they just thought that was amazing to see that tree. Other than that, we never used it. So next question. It caused me some headache when deploying a new SCOM 2012 R2 management server. The UI wizard had no options for data reader, data writer accounts, therefore it fails. That cannot access the databases. Interesting. I don't know. That's very specific. I would need way more information to troubleshoot that one, to be honest with you. Have you ever seen that, Leon?
I think I've heard about something similar, but you really, we need more information to troubleshoot. But first of all, you need to make sure that you have all the prerequisites and hardware is supported and so on, and everything's supported. Then we can move on from that at least.
Okay. Actually, if you would like to post more questions to the Slack forum, please. That would be the way to go, because that way we can get some additional information and maybe have that conversation more ongoing. Next question is, we are on SCOM 2016 update rollup 3, planning to upgrade to 2019. Oh, well, that's not a question. Great. That's super great to hear. I guess the only thing I think with that is I think if you're going to get to 2019, you have to be on update rollup 7 or something. There's an update rollup requirement. I forget what it is, but you have to be on the minimum supported level for that. So keep that in mind. At least I think there, or no. Okay, I'm babbling now. Is there an update rollup requirement, Leon?
No.
I didn't think so.
You can go straight from RTM.
Where is the update requirement? That's 18. Okay, 1801. It's the 1801s. Sorry, I got that confused. So do we need to upgrade our SCOM to 2016 update rollup 8 before upgrading to 2019? No, that answers that question. No, do not need the update rollup for that. It's just if you're on the 1801 or whatever.
I think Microsoft actually prefers if you are like to the latest. But yeah, I mean, it's not a requirement.
Right. All right, so have in-place upgraded my management servers from 2012 R2 to 2019, no problem. Okay, thank you for the comment. So somebody upgraded, no problem. I'm assuming based on the comment, they went from 2012 R2 directly to 2019. I'm not aware of that being supported. So if it worked, awesome. But I jumped through 2012 R2, 2016, and then the upgrade loops.
Yeah, like you said, it is not a support method, but if it works, that's great. And very interesting to hear that, actually.
Yeah, check your event logs. Make sure that there's nothing red there. So if you were to go with a side-by-side install, what would be your quickest, most reliable method of rolling out the agents across your estate? Group policy, SCCM, network discovery? Honestly, my experience is whatever works in your shop. I did personally use group policy to start. That didn't work because then we couldn't hit some of the other machines that didn't have the right group policy. So then we went with SCCM. What eventually worked in my shop was to have the Linux team and the Windows team just put it as part of their build process. And then we waited for them to tell me that they were ready to be production, and then we would approve them in pending management. That worked for my shop. So, but I think it's really your shop. What works there, go with it.
Yeah.
We plan on doing a side-by-side with Ops Manager 2012 R2 and Ops Manager 2019. Any issues with agents doing a multi-home to 2 management groups? Would you like to field this one, Leon? Or do you want me to field it?
Well, I can start. Basically, 2012 R2 is not supported to coexist with 2019. It is supported to coexist with 2016. It might be able to work, but not supported. So yeah, you would have to require downtime and uninstall and install the new agents basically.
Yeah, that was so in my shop, we ended up doing we dual home 2012 R2 to 2016, which was supported. And then once we were all in 2016 and then upgraded in place to 2019, that worked. But then while we were on 2016, we had to get the agents upgraded to make sure that they were compliant with 2019. So it did take us several weeks to make the jumps. So the first weekend was 2012 R2 to 2016, upgraded agents, took a couple weeks. Then 2016 to 2019, upgraded agents again. So it took some time.
It's a long process if you want to be doing a fully supported. So bear that in mind. It takes a while, depending on your environment, of course.
True. Oh, the next question was, do the SCOM 2012 agents work with 2019? Or would all agents need to upgrade to SCOM 2016 first? So no. I think the supported is the 2012 R2 agents don't talk to 2019. I never really tested that to make sure, but
I have.
Okay.
I can tell you it works. Whether it's supported or not, probably not supported. Don't think it is, but it works. Bear in mind that 2019 only uses 64-bit. All components is 64-bit. All agents are 64-bit. So it works also the way around. So if you have 2008 servers still, which you shouldn't, but either way, if you still have any 64-bit 2008 servers, they will also work with SCOM 2019, but it's not supported.
Wonder about a 32-bit agent. How would that work? Do you know? Probably not.
32-bit agent on SCOM 2019 doesn't work.
Okay, that makes sense then. So that's probably why they just say it's not supported. They just cover both bases with that. Okay, good deal. So we have, do we need to upgrade VMM 2016 and Orchestrator 2016 at the same time, or can this be done later? Well, Microsoft does have a supported upgrade path for all of those components. There is some overlap where you don't have to upgrade them at the same time, but you do want them within a short period of time to eventually get them together.
Yeah.
I forget what the order is, to be honest with you.
It's Orchestrator, Service Manager, DPM, SCOM, and then VMM.
Okay, so VMM would be your last component then.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Yeah, okay. Is the HTML5 web UI feature parity with the FAT console? No.
Nope.
Yeah, there's actually some features in the SCOM the web console now that are not in the FAT console, which drives me crazy. But that's another topic entirely. There's more in the web console now than there ever has been, but they are not feature parity at all. The entire administration pane is missing. Reporting isn't there. And even in the monitoring pane, there are some things that exist only in one place and not the other.
Yeah, and it's very important to know this because I do get a lot of questions. For example, users created so many dashboards, very nice dashboards in the web console, and he's scratching his head and wondering why aren't they showing in the operations console, the FAT console?
Right.
Because they are different.
Yep. They are two different things. Okay, so next question. Do you change the compatibility level within SQL, and what is the best to use? That is a good question. No, I have never changed the compatibility level for the upgrade, but I do know that certain versions do have certain requirements. So I think the install does it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, me neither, actually. I have not touched the compatibility level, so I can't really say. But I suppose it does it automatically in the upgrade.
Yeah, it might do that during the upgrade. I think that might be why I've never had to touch it. I did check it frequently, just when troubleshooting problems, because that was a question Microsoft always asks: is what's your compatibility level, just to make sure that your DBAs don't change it or set it to something that's consistent with their shop but not consistent with Ops Manager, because that is that setting has to be correct, otherwise you will run into problems.
Yeah,
but that's I'm pretty sure the upgrade handles that. We'll have to look into that one. Does the newer Windows Server 2016 Plus and 1709 Plus management packs work with SCOM 2012 R2? The documentation states not, but the previous MP did. I don't know. I've not tried. I would assume that it would, because the database schema for 2012 R2, 2016, and 2019 has not changed. So you could probably get it to work, but it's probably not a supported configuration.
Yeah, I don't think it's supported, but remember, supported and working, two different things.
Very true.
So I think this changed in some version. And if you go to System Center wiki.com, you can actually check the different versions. There is a version history. So if you want to get, I don't remember by heart the last supported version for 2012 R2, but I remember there was one, and then they upgraded the management pack and now it's only supported on 2016 and above.
Actually, the more I think about this one, I think if I'm reading the question right, maybe, because I could be wrong, the Windows Server 2016 Plus and 1909 Plus management pack, I think that has a dependency on a core SCOM management pack. So it probably will not install on 2012 R2, because I think there's a cross dependency with something that's newer, because of the way that pack does the discoveries. But there's an easy way to figure that out just by opening up the pack to see what its dependencies are. So if you could post that in the Slack channel, we could definitely look into that one, because I think that'll tell us definitively.
Yeah.
Just to say that it can be done and place upgrades of your management servers. Yes. Is there a difference in the Linux agent manual install process? No. Did lots of Linux. Process is pretty much the same. There's new management packs in 2019, so be sure to upgrade those. But once you get the new packs, everything's the same. So the Linux team doesn't really have to change anything. Although update rollup 1 might change a few things there, or I think, but we'll see that in another week or two. Have you done a lot of?
There is actually, if you're using SCOM 1807, there is a big difference in 2019 when installing Unix or Linux agent. So I think it's only in 1807, if I remember correctly. No, 1801 as well. So all the semi-annual channel ones have a different way of installing. So if you go to the Microsoft Docs for the installing agent on Unix or Linux computers, you will notice there is a difference. I think we're used to the SCX.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, because they correct. So because they merged the OMI and the SCX together into the same executable. Is that what you're talking? Okay, yes. Yeah. So the agent is different, but you can still do the same. We're getting into the guts of SCOM here for a second, but the Linux agent that you can push out through the SCOM console is similar to the prior versions. But if you download the Linux agent from the GitHub, that is the OMS/Azure Monitor agent and SCOM agent. So that install is different. But if you use the native one, I think that's just the SCX install. But yeah, you're absolutely correct, because they did introduce the different agents. So that gets into versioning also. So there's a whole lot of change there. But for the most part, the agent, yes, depending where you get your agent, let's phrase it that way. So the agent that you get within SCOM is the SCX, and that should work the same. But yeah, thank you, Leon. I totally spaced on that.
It is documented in what's new in Operations Manager in the Microsoft Docs. So you'll see the change there for 2019.
All right, so next question. I have some 2012 R2 agents reporting to my 2016 management group due to the APM IAS compatibility issue with the 2016 agent. Will the 2012 R2 agents work with a 2019 management group as well, or would I have to upgrade them? So the APM IIS compatibility issue has been fixed. So so if once you apply that, you should be good. But again, I don't think Microsoft supports the 2012 R2 agents with 2019. It works, but probably not supported.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Will update rollups update the HTML5 over time to make it feature parity? I'm going to be kind of jump on this one. You're going to have to ask Microsoft that. I know there's some things in the pipeline just based on the conversation I had with the product team when I saw them at Ignite. Next time you're at Ignite, please go introduce yourself to the product team. Go out to user voice, vote, get your voices heard, keep SCOM alive. There's a whole lot of things that can be done there, but as if I know, no, I have no idea if they're going to do feature parity or not. But definitely, we need to get Microsoft involved in the community again and just get them to support the product. So that's my answer for that one, is get involved. Dual homing 2012 R2 agents with 2019 agents seems to not be supported. There we go. So during transition from 2012 R2 to 2019 side by side, we have a problem with the squared up dashboards. I don't know what that means. I don't know. We're going to need more information for that question. So if you could either post to the Slack channel or post at the bottom, we'll try to get that answered. But if what I understand is correct here, if you're doing a side by side, our marketing team or license team can actually help you bring up another squared up server to point to your new management group. That way you can have both of them running and then work on a stable transition. So they'll help you over time. We definitely want you to be successful with your SCOM upgrade. If you're successful with SCOM, you're successful with squared up. That's just the way it works. Let's see. Slack channel. Yes, we'll post the Slack channel again. And then I'm a SCOM administrator trying to get the license information using operations shell. I don't think you can get the license out once you put it in, but I've never tried. So that's a good question. There might be a way to do it, but I don't know. Leon, have you ever tried to get the license out, or is probably not, huh?
No, I'm not sure you can.
Yeah, it might be just like a standard Windows product. Once you put it in, it obfuscates it. Okay, can I upgrade from 2016 UR8 to 2019 RTM, or will the installer think I'm trying to downgrade since 2016 UR8? No, you're good. That's a good question. And amusingly enough, sometimes Microsoft does require an update rollup that is newer than the product that you're upgrading to. So that is a common scenario. So no, it'll see that 2019 is the newer product, even though update rollup 8 has been released after the RTM version. So you're fine. In 1807 Windows 2019 in SquaredUp shows the, let me read that again. In 1807 Windows 2019 in shows in the window 2016 group and management pack. How is going to change subsequent to the 2019 SCOM upgrade? Will it be necessary to move 2019's VMs from 2016 group to the agnostic pack? If you're, okay, as soon as you said agnostic, you had me at agnostic. When you have to deal with the agnostic packs, there's a transition period. So you're going to want to read the directions for that. And you're going to want to do probably a side-by-side and then migrate those and then clean them up. And while you're doing that, you're going to get duplicated alerts. You're going to see things kind of repeated. That's just the way those things work, because they do change how SCOM is doing that monitoring. But I will tell you that it's worth it. Do the work. Yeah, it is nice definitely. Once you get there. Yeah. So the same is true for the SQL agnostic packs. That one was painful for me personally. It took us about 6 weeks.
Oh yeah.
yeah. Been there, done that. Don't want to do it again.
Yeah, and luckily Kevin Holman has a blog post about the transition.
Yes, he does.
Going from older SQL management packs to the version agnostic one.
I didn't see one for the Windows packs.
I don't think he has one, no.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Yeah,
because I know that we did because I think it was 2016 and newer, we still had the older servers. So what I ended up doing was only installing the older Windows packs for the older systems. Spoke to a customer recently who had older systems, and he absolutely refused to move any of his 2003, 2008 R2 servers to his new SCOM group. I totally endorse that, but that's me. So he had to run 2 management groups, but I don't like dirtying up my new SCOM group with older stuff. But
Yeah, that's also like what I say. I mean, if you have these old servers for various reasons, there are many out there who do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you better run different management groups. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, we still monitored Solaris in my old shop, which was, that's something entirely different. Okay, so in 1807 Windows 2019, I'm reading that again. Is that? Yeah, my assistant's telling me, yep, I got to read it again. In 1807 Windows 2019, SquaredUp shows, no, we're switching that. Currently, the SquaredUp out of the box has 2016, 2012, 2008 Windows Server in Teams, but not 2019. So what will I need to do in SquaredUp to create a new dashboard and add it to the Teams? I'm looking at the man right across from me, and he is going to answer that personally.
Hey guys, so when it comes to that upgrade, you have a couple of options. You can either clone the dashboards, so that's very simple. Going to edit mode, there is a clone button at the top right, and then it's simply a case of replacing the IDs. Realistically, if you're moving to the agnostic MPs, that should be much easier, and there is quite likely going to be a dashboard pack for that particular version that will be agnostic. Currently, if you have any questions around that, feel free to drop the support team an email, and they'll be more than happy to assist.
And those were the cool tones of Ash. Thank you for joining in. We'll see you next week. Yeah, so good stuff there. And it looks like the last question of the day, any news about the UR in-place upgrade functionality coming in UR1? How will this work across all the different SCOM roles such as gateway and servers? Well, that sounds like next week's episode. Yeah.
Let's keep it a secret.
Yeah. Now, in all seriousness, Microsoft has said publicly that they expect UR1 to be released at the end of January. If they keep with their schedule, that should be sometime this week. But when they released 2019, it was supposed to be at the end of January, and it did not ship until the end of March. So it's anytime between today and the next 2 months. We know what's in it, so there is actually a couple blog posts out there that do talk about it, but we'll probably do an update. We'll probably do a coffee break just on upgrading to update rollup 1. There appears to be a lot of goodness in there, like the self-service or the one-click upgrade. I can't even remember all the things that are in there, but there's a whole lot of goodness that I am looking forward to. So we'll have to answer that next time.
I've written a blog post about this, specifically for the update rollup 1 for SCOM 2019. So I have a blog post that's telling you what's been announced so far.
Okay. Then actually, I will go back a couple slides just to put Leon's information here.
Just one question that has actually appeared on Slack there that I think is a perfectly valid one to make our final question of the day. How often does Microsoft release a UR for SCOM now?
Aha, that is a good question. It's supposed to be, do you know, Leon?
Let's see, I believe it's like every 6 months, cadence of 6 months.
Yeah, I thought they started off with the update rollups to be quarterly.
Yeah.
And that did not work. And then I think it's supposed to be every 6 months, so it's twice a year. So we should see update rollup 1 now, update rollup 2 just in time for Ignite, and then update rollup 3 again in January of next year. So that, I think, is the schedule. But we'll see if they actually rubber meets the road. They get it done.
Yeah.
I hope they do.
Let's hope so.
Yes. And that's us. This is Upgrading to SCOM 2019. Thanks for joining. If you have any other questions, please take a look at our Slack channel. I'm going to slide to the end again and show you our coffee break resources. Please take a look. Let us know if you need something. Thanks again, Leon.
Thank you. Bye.
And we'll see you again on the next coffee break.